Now means we are going to finish Mark. Whether we finish it or not, we end today. Next time we start with Luke. Okay?
Not too many questions now.
No, that's okay. The only thing is that we will maybe speed up a little bit more. That's all. So, as I in the Mark's Gospel was written to a Gentile, Greek-speaking community, but at the same time, the Jewish elements are taken care of. Of course, the messianic understanding and Luke's central theme of theology was, as we have already explained, of course, maybe that was days back, that's why, or weeks back, the suffering Messiah was the central theme of Mark. That's why the Gospel, we have already seen chapter 8 where St. Peter proclaiming Jesus the Messiah, no? So all the events narrated that leads to that proclamation, and after that it is all mainly the fulfillment. Just after the proclamation of St. Peter, what is the next portion of the Gospel is Jesus foretelling that he is going to suffer and he is going to rise again. That is so. Very clear it is the central theme of theology of Mark. We can say it is a suffering servant of Jehovah. Okay, the suffering servant of that was already seen in Isaiah. No, there are it is already foretold in Isaiah, I think chapter 54, the suffering servant of Jehovah, Yahweh. So, okay, that is something about the theology. That now some of the special themes in Mark we can see. For example, Mark's Gospel does not give us any information on Jesus before his baptism. No information. So Mark's Gospel starts with St. John's preaching of repentance. Immediately after that, it is the baptism of Jesus. So before that, as like other three Gospels, they give some information, of course. Luke is the most narrative on that. Matthew also gives some information about his birth and the Magi coming and his flight to Egypt and things like that. John gives much more in the sense, for example, the prologue, that is in the beginning, even before that, his birth. He really goes.
Yeah, he goes from the very beginning. That means from the beginning of there is no beginning of existence of God, what can we say? So, his existence. So, but Mark is the only Gospel who gives no information before the baptism. That is something special. So, then second is Son of Man. That is the major title used in Mark. Son of Man. That is interesting to note one thing, one theology about this title is whenever this is very interesting to note. We have to distinguish between Son of God, title Son of God, and Son of Man. Son of God title is used in Bible in a very generic term, not specifically used for Jesus. Even we are all called Son of Man, Son of God. Okay? You are Son of God in a very generic sense. Okay? You are Son of God. Not that we share the divinity of Christ, the divinity of God. No. Understand? Only thing is in a very broad sense that you are Son of God. But
His creatures.
yes, but Son of Man title, when it is used, even though it is Son of Man, but that title uses specifically to show the divinity and the suffering. So Jesus, when Jesus' divinity is referred and the sufferings together with, the title is used Son of Man.
But he calls himself that.
And he calls himself because of his consciousness.
That seems almost
Contradictory, no? Yeah. But it is, when it is always in Bible, Son of Man title is the title is used to show the divinity of Jesus. Very, very contradictory. That's why I just want to insist on that. While Son of Man, Son of God title is used in a very broader sense. We are all Son of God. And Son of God, when we say, it doesn't mean, it doesn't exclude, of course, the daughters of God. No, it's all just in a generic form. Man means, son means son and daughters all together, okay? We are all son and daughter all of God. So this you have to bear in mind. The Son of Man title and Son of God title. And Mark is using Son of Man title, for example, in Mark 2:10 to 28. And we have seen already chapter 8:31, where that is the I told you, that is the most important part of the, and there the title is used 8:31.
the Son of Man must suffer.
No, Son of Man must suffer. So it's always, when it is the title is used, Son of Man, it shows his divinity, his sharing of the substance of God, at the same time his sufferings. That's why, maybe because in order to show it could be implied, could be that is, Jesus, here is one theology we have to see, the Jesus personality, the person of Jesus. Jesus person. There are two natures in Jesus, no? That is our theology. Jesus having two natures. We are all having one nature. No? What is us? We are all human nature. But Jesus has two natures. Human and divine. Human and divine.
He was both 100%.
Yeah. Therefore, Jesus is 200%. Jesus is not 100%. Jesus is 200%. Because Jesus' humanity, when you say Jesus' humanity is 50% and divinity is 50%, that shows something is lacking, no? No, Jesus is 200%.
But isn't this the way man was supposed to have been? He was supposed to have a divine nature as well as a human nature, right?
Who? Man?
Yeah, at
The beginning?
first creation.
But that nature, person means when he was created in the image and likeness of God. That is, that image and likeness doesn't mean we share the God's divinity in a substantial manner. What do you call by substance? No? That is the same substance of, but Jesus is something else. Because we are created by God, God endows something more than any other creature. That doesn't mean we are simply creatures. We don't share God's divinity. But at the same time, Because he created man in the image and likeness means some similarity, no? More likeness.
Man is composed of body and soul.
Yeah.
So, but the
That soul, that
other creatures, Father, has no soul like animals.
they may have an animal soul,
Yeah, they all have.
and only thing is that when we say man is created in the image and likeness means we don't share the what's called the substance of God's divinity, and that was a great controversy in 300. Great or 325, the first, what's called the Ecumenical Council of Nicaea. That was the theme. The first council. So, but Jesus' case, that is something else. That is, he shares the substance of God. He is of the same substance of the Father, and that is why in the Nicene Creed we declare it: light from light, true God from true God, begotten not made, of the same, consubstantial with the Father. That word is that consubstantial with God. Con means with, substance with the same substance. Consubstantial.
Oh God, those.
Yeah, he is fully God, just like the Father.
But Father, other faiths don't make that same connection. Say like the Muslim with Allah and Buddhist and all these. There's not that same connection, is there?
There's only one.
But for example, in Islam, of course, they don't in any way accept the incarnation of God, because God is, you don't know that. That is very interesting. I think many people don't know that Islam is a fundamental, what's called a fanatic, a more fundamental expression of Judaism.
Wow.
Yes, because what is the main idea of the theology of the Islam? That is God's, what's called, incomprehensibility. God is beyond everything. God is what's called, we are not able to in any way see or grasp or anything, because God is beyond. And that is the monotheistic concept of Jews. And when it is in Islam, it is much more extreme. That's why they don't make any image, because God is incomprehensible. They don't have any image at all. No way. Even they don't make an image of Prophet Muhammad. We don't see that. Anywhere we don't see a Prophet Muhammad's picture. They have only one picture, is a moon, no? That's all. And what their picture is, only the script. Wherever in Islam, what only the thing what we can see is the script, God's word. Nothing is imaged in Islam.
Because to them, he never became man.
No, that is beyond their understanding, because God is what's called incomprehensible, is beyond everything, he is immutable. God cannot become man in their understanding. Therefore, and Prophet Muhammad is only a prophet for them, not God.
And Jesus likewise.
He's only a minor prophet for them.
But it's the same God. It's the same God. I mean, we're worshiping the same God.
Yeah, everyone worships the same God. We can say in that sense, no? Different.
Basically, the view of Islam is the Jews have it wrong, the Christians have it wrong.
Yeah.
Everybody.
They're close, but
Everybody.
Yeah, that means, that is, they took more of Judaism than Islam, than Christianity.
Called bigots.
They took, that's why for them Old Testament is okay, no? They take the Old Testament.
Yet in the Quran, one of the first things you read about is the birth of Jesus. It's strange.
And therefore, that is, and Buddhism, of course, there is something more, that means even they don't believe, some group, they don't believe even a God in Buddhism. Yes. This is a little bit difficult, to explain all those things.
Okay, going back to which part of Mark is about that?
Okay. So he is just regulating. Okay, concentrate on Mark.
Father, in Buddhism, who is Buddha again? Buddha, that big.
Buddha means enlightened prophet. He's an enlightened. Buddha means, the word Buddha means enlightened.
So not the person.
That's a person, enlightened guru, what we call the enlightened prophet or teacher.
Didn't he once say, "Do not follow me, for I'm searching for the way"?
So at the beginning he was telling that, I'm not, do not follow me, just. And Buddhism, many people are fascinated in Europe and America, but there is an inherent contradiction in Buddhism. I don't know how they understand that. For example, they say the Buddhist philosophy based on, first, the basic understanding of Buddhism is, what is the cause of suffering? What is the cause of suffering? No. That is the Judeo-Christian concept.
Karma.
The basis of our suffering is our, what's called our desire or wish. I want to get this and I don't get it, and suffering.
Our pride.
Not a pride. My wish or my desire. So I want to get a beautiful lady, but I don't get it. I suffer. I want to get a mansion. I don't get it. I suffer. Whatever the basic concept of Buddhism is, what's called the basis of suffering is desire.
So as you control your desires.
Not control. If you don't have any desire, you don't have suffering.
Doesn't that have to do with the will?
Yeah. If you don't have a desire, then you don't have a suffering.
No, but
Desire is kind of like, if you don't have a destination in mind, you can never be lost.
That is why I say, the first sentence I said, Buddhism has a very inherent contradiction. That's why even if you desire what's called to reach God, and that is a desire, and you don't fulfill it, then that's a suffering. If you have a wish to go into heaven, and if you, and that makes you suffering. If you don't have it, then there is no more suffering. But the question is, can a man live without wish?
exactly that. Because he'd be no human.
Oh, I wish he could.
So, okay, Buddhism, let us go, So this is, and Mark, this is very important. The Son of Man title is very important because it is, there are many instances, in Mark's Gospel, this title is used, and it is very important in the Christology of Mark because it shows, even though it is man, son of man, this man shows the human part of as well as the divine part of, because it is only used when Christ, or what's called sharing the divinity of God, that title.
When he was referring himself as the Son of Man, because that's what he called himself many times, were the other people were understanding that?
No. That was the problem. That was the problem. Even Peter, when declared, "You are the Son of God," no? He was declaring he was the Son of God, not Son of Man.
No, but when he said it publicly, even in front of the Pharisees and all that, was he doing it not to openly say Son of God? Because that would be even worse for him.
Not that, this Son of Man title is, it's a literary genre, what we call literary genre. No? And that time maybe, used for in the literature, used that title. Whether Jesus exactly used it or not, we don't know exactly. Anyway, that is seen in the Gospels. Even in Bible, before that, even in Old Testament, the title is the same, Son of Man, referring to sharing the God's divinity.
I think it makes more sense to some of us if he was always and always is divine, but he became a son of man.
Yes, sure. Yeah, he was, he was divine and he became man. That's, to show that. Anyway, what I wanted to insist, this title, even in Old Testament, used in this sense.
Okay.
That means not Son of Man means not just a human way, but that title is very important, that it is used always in reference to his sharing in the divinity of God. Yeah. So whenever that's unless someone clearly understands and and study that, we don't get that idea. No. We call it Son of Man. Okay, just read it. But it has so much depth in that. When we read Son of Man means he is divine.
I think that's because even according to the creed, he always was God.
Yeah.
That was his origin.
Yeah.
This aspect of God became the Son of Man to become the Christ, the Messiah.
Yeah, that was he was also telling that, when we grasp that idea, that is very, very interesting. Okay? Then, once more, then something more to see. Okay. Then another thing is, for example, Mark 14:62. Mark 14:62. Very interesting. Mark 16:42. Mark 14:62. Just, can you read someone? Yeah.
Then Jesus answered, I am, and you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of the power and coming with the clouds of heaven.
So, do you notice some parallelism in somewhere in Old Testament? I am.
Yep.
There.
The burning bush.
The burning bush incident, no? When Moses was looking the burning bush, and there was you don't come here because it is a place of veneration or a divinity, then Moses asked, who are you? And God's answer is very, very clear, no? I am who I am, no? I am. I am the one. And Jesus uses the same title here. Look, I am. And next follows what? Son of Man. Okay? So that is very, he claims to be, he claims to be God using the Old Testament titles. I am. And no human person will do that in a Jewish background, because it is a death penalty. Blasphemy.
There was a lot of other so-called prophets, right, brother, at that time coming and saying that they were
Prophets.
Yeah, there was a lot of They were coming one after another over.
But even the concept of Messiah, the Messiah means the one who is commissioned, the one sent by God. But even the messianic understanding, even the Messiah is not the Son of God, Son of Man, is not sharing the equal divinity of God. I will send a Redeemer. That means God sends someone superhuman to redeem the Israelite. But even in the understanding of the Jews, the Messiah is not equal with God.
Totally different from he was doing.
Yes.
It was not seen before.
Yeah. That's why they say that the Jews always said, you are making yourself God. And there were many people who claimed to be Messiah. And they had no problem. There were many people who even had so many followers. Because that concept was acceptable to Jewish understanding. But this concept, I am who am. I am God. I am the Son, sharing the equal divinity of the Father. That is totally what's called foreign for Jewish mentality. Sure. And Jesus was claiming it. And that's why we always said, that we cannot simply blame Jews, what they did to Jesus.
Father, was that the main reason that they wanted to kill him?
Sure.
That was the last.
That was the one thing, the straw. That was that could, even we, suppose, somebody comes and then say, I am the incarnate Jesus, will we accept him? I don't think so.
And also all his accusations against their ways.
Yes. He was searched by the Jews because he was criticizing and doing all those the unpleasant things for them. Okay, that is about then. Another thing is 13:32. Mark 13:32. That's a very difficult question. Even that, I just want to make sure there is no answer for me. But 13:32. What's it?
But of that day or that hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father.
See, here is the problem. No, if Jesus is the equal with the Father, he is sharing everything what the Father has, then how can he not know the hour? No, here is the question. He says that hour is known only to the Father.
And did he profess that to the disciples? My hour has come.
Yeah, that that is a difference. The hour means the hour of suffering.
Okay.
What he was referring to the disciples. Here is something else. Yeah, and here is the difference is something else. Yeah.
So, Father, when again did the Nicene Council meet?
That was 325.
So 300 years after the fact, they debated all this.
It was mainly because that there was a problem of persecution, and the church had no real time to reflect on these things.
Oh my goodness!
Because the church's history until 311 was a survival history. How to survive, and how can people just think about all those things? So immediately after that started. So it was 311, persecution was over. 325 we see people, the bishops meeting to discuss about this thing.
So the problem I'm having is the actual organization and formation of the church. If we debated this and persecution up to 311 and then the Nicene Council in 325, so the formality of the church was actually structure, question mark, I don't know.
Yeah, that's why, we were extensively, we have seen the history of the church in the beginning of the church, we here in the class, and I told you, the church's structures all evolved in the 4th century.
4th century.
That means after 311.
Right.
The structure,
Structure. That means only,
not the dogma, but the
no. Even many dogmas was clear, were clear, very, very clear. And for example, see, even in 325, almost half of the bishops, having doubts about whether Jesus was truly God. That's why the half of the bishops supported Arianism, which denied Jesus' divinity.
One of the things I look at this, and it goes back to this question. Jesus was 100% God. Or,
200%.
well,
100% God, 100%.
I hit a linguistic barrier. Hang on a second. 100% of Jesus' nature was God. Okay? However, he's not 100% God, in the sense that not all of God was there.
So he is, yes. Okay.
Back to the council.
No.
Okay, let him.
You have
Yeah.
Trinity, right?
Yeah.
You have God in the form of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit.
That's the part we
And
never gonna understand.
every one of those three parts is 100% God.
Yes.
But any one of those parts is not all of God.
That was the heresy they call, that was the heresy they were discussing in Arianism in 325, that Jesus was, he was sharing some of the divinity but not fully divine. That means consubstantial, that word. And that was the word debated more, consubstantial.
For the same substance.
Of the same substance.
Yeah. Of the same substance.
All of the substance was in one place.
Father, it could be when Jesus said this, Mark 13:32.
What is that? Mark 13?
Yeah,
Huh.
that Jesus didn't know, only the Father knows.
That is the end of times. He was
Maybe when he said this, he was talking on his human nature.
Yeah, that was the thing. That is the thing.
Not
That's when the scholars say. For example, when Jesus, was crying, he was crying as a human person because he was 100% human. So when he was speaking to the disciples, that is in a human way. When we speak about, nobody can know. Only God knows. When he was talking about, only the Father knows, he was talking that, God knows.
Yeah, in the same way as when he was tempted by the devil 3 times.
In the human.
He was in a human nature.
Yeah. So anyway, you are contributing beautiful answers. They're very good. That is the way how we learn. Really. Yeah. That's why we call it. He was 100% human. If he was not 100% human, then there is another problem. There is another heresy. There is another heresy which is called monophysitism. Or just after the Council of Nicaea, where Jesus' divinity was established or proclaimed by the church officially, that he is 100% God, sharing everything of the Father having. Only thing is that, the difference, at least some, we don't know what is exactly, what is Trinity. But some of the fathers, when they explain it, then what is the meaning of Trinity? What is then everyone sharing everything? Then what makes the difference? The difference is only one thing, they say. How the Father is Father, because He has the Son and the Spirit. Being His title Father, because He is not the Son. He has the Son. And I don't know how you understand that, when I say Jesus different from the Father, in the sense Jesus is the Son, not the Father. Only that much. That is the difference in Trinity, according to our understanding, human way of speaking. That is, in Trinity they share everything totally together. Only thing, the difference makes this one. How I become a father? Because I have a son or daughter, no? Like that, Jesus, or the Father is Father, or in the sense that He has a Son. That is Jesus. And Jesus is the Son in relation to the Father, because He is not the Father, but He is the Son. And the Spirit that is, the both of them having the Spirit, that what's called the breath of the Father and the Son is called the Spirit. That is a simple way of explaining the Trinity. So in all other things, they are totally the same. Only this thing is the distinguishing mark. The Father is the Father in the sense that He has the Son. And the Son is the Son in relation with the Father, because He is not the Father. That is the distinction among the Trinity. Now it's not our time to, I know the hands are raised, but we, as the promised, we have to go further.
But it is very important to get these little points clarified, though.
Yeah. True.
Those are confusions that we all have.
Yeah.
I think one of the things we have to remember, the passages that say God's ways are not our ways.
Yeah.
God exists outside of time. He exists outside of creation. Creation exists within Him. And in that enormity of scale, He's trying very hard to relate to us in our terms, which is what is so confusing, because He is so far beyond our terms. I liken it to an NBA basketball player getting down on his belly to talk to a 2-year-old.
There's no need of making 2-year-old. He's talking to me. Last time when I was walking on the hallway of Harlingen Medical, that hospital, and the tall, American, the African American guy, tall, big guy. He is more than 6. And when he was walking, I just stopped in front of him, and then I looked. Oh, you are! He was so laughing, and told me, Father. Many people told me like that. You are not the one first. He is so big. I admire him, and but that act made us a beautiful friendship then afterwards. Okay, now sometimes in the character of Jesus appears as what's called capricious, unpredictable, scandalous in Mark. Many times, many ways, because that gospel, he does not polish anything. There's other evangelists. Mark does not polish anything, because he is the first gospel. But other gospel, the writers, sometimes they polish some things. Therefore, in Mark's gospel, we see some of these scandalous things, that's why, see, even, this thing, in other, many things, gospel narratives, and they edit but Mark doesn't. Therefore, see, the character of Jesus appears as, see, secret sometimes, or what's called unpredictable, scandalous, and things like that. See, see, there are, various examples, we can see. Another thing is, no sign will be given to this generation. 8:12. Matthew and Luke include except for the sign of Jonah. But in Mark, it plainly says no sign will be given. So, in John, Jesus provides 6 signs specifically to demonstrate his divine role. So, for example, after the first miracle in Cana, John immediately says this is the first miracle to show to his disciples that he was sent from God. So he specifically said that. But Mark, we don't see such comments and things like that. It is taken for granted. So that's why it is the first, because it is the first gospel, just narrated. Not, any way, because after maybe St. John was writing maybe after 20 years. By that time it was already more reflections are made, and somewhere or other there is something is very clearly shown. Another thing is, some of the other things. Sabbath was made for man, not man for Sabbath. Mark 2:27. That is not present in either Matthew or Luke.
Well, what Mark was that again?
2:27.
2:27.
The last one in the south.
And interesting that
28 is actually
28. Mark 2:28. The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. And that is not seen in Matthew or Luke.
in 28 says.
And another problem is some of the manuscripts we don't see that.
Well, not every gospel have to be exactly 100%.
No, only thing is that only the difference what we call, because there is very important passage, and we always say that, that the man is not made for Sabbath, but Sabbath is made for man. What is the inner meaning of it?
That is man is more important than the particular day.
God rested on the seventh day of creation, and man needs some rest too, or he go crazy.
Yeah, but they took it all.
But what is the core understanding of that saying? And this is related to Joe. That's why I'm asking.
The first commandment.
That is, every law is created for man. All the law. No? The laws are drawn for man. Either, to have an order in the society, to protect man's right, or anything, it's all for man. And should not be interpreted man for law.
The other way around.
And therefore, that's why we always ask people like Joe, to interpret the law for the good of man. For man. Suppose if a law could be interpreted to do something good for a man, do it. There are people, especially, at least in our culture, the priests, very, very authoritative. And every law, that if the law is not very clear, we can interpret either way, this way and that way. And that shows the nature of a man. If that law is not very clear and that law is interpreted to block something for that man, to deny something for that man, and the same law could be interpreted to grant that, and that shows the nature of the one who interprets it. So, interpret the law for the sake of man, doing something good. And it's very clear, it's very clear. People can be very mean who are in authority. We easily interpret the law to deny. But if that law has a gap, to interpret, for granting something, to grant it. Because it is for the purpose of the law is done for that. No?
Yes. Amen. That's good.
Yeah, that's sure. That's why that is the inner meaning of the Sabbath is there are so many laws connected with Sabbath, and it is why it is to protect man, not to infringe his rights, not to destroy or inflict something wrong. No, but it is why the Sabbath is as we all said, it is because man needs rest. Man needs time for connecting with God, and it is to protect the man that law is made. He should have time
For himself.
Yeah, for himself and for God. And that is the inner meaning of that law. And the Pharisees, began to interpret what then happened at last. And the law became so terrified, my God, today is Sabbath, how can I do this? And how can I live? That came to that level.
It was a burden.
It was a
It became
burden.
a burden.
It became a burden, sure.
It became punitive.
Yes. That's why,
Here comes, it's like we all think, oh my God, here comes Sunday, I'm going to have to rest and do that.
so because, there are,
I want to continue working.
interesting, even there are, I think 800 some laws were, for Sabbath. And in Bible, there is only one law. That is what's called the second commandment, no? Observe
The day
the day of the Lord. And that is a little more elaborated in the Numbers. That's all. And the rabbis interpreted, I think it is almost like more than 800 laws are there. For example, a law is, suppose a speck came to your hand, to your leg, and then,
would you remove it?
can I remove it? Yes. So, if it is, how much then you can bend?
Oh, you leave your leg. What
This
is
is, see.
a job?
Yeah. If you bend this much, it's not a job. If you bend a little more, that's a job. Then you cannot do it.
When the apostles were grabbing the grain from just to eat it, that wasn't considered a job. They should not supposed to do that on Saturday.
So all those things it became a burden and punitive. Should not be, the law should not be like that. Okay, another thing is, Mark is the only gospel with a combination of Mark 2, 4, 24, 25. The other gospels split them up. For example, what is Mark 4, 24? Mark 4, 24. Mark 4, 24.
He said to them, "Take heed what you hear. The measure you give will be the measure you get, and still more will be given you."
24 and 25, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
For to him who has will more be given, and from him who has not, even what he has will be taken away.
Yeah. So in other gospels, for example, Luke, Mark 4:24 being found in Luke 6:38, Matthew 7:2. Mark 4:25 being found in Matthew 13:12 and 25:9. Luke, this part is only thing that's not a very important thing. It's split into two parts and put in different places, two places in the Gospel of Luke and Matthew. That's all. That's not a very. That's a technical thing. That's all. Okay. Then see, only this is a very interesting thing. Mark counts the possessed swines. Mark 5:13. Yeah. Mark 5:13. Yeah. 2000, no?
2000.
And see, Jesus heals a man with evil spirits. Matthew 8, take Matthew 8:28. Yeah. This is how we read Bible, no? This way and that way. Mark 8:28. Jesus, no, Matthew. Yeah. So, see, interesting. In Matthew, there's he says, they went into pigs. And Mark is a very detailed description, no? Even how many pigs were there? More than 2,000.
That's a lot of pigs.
That's an exaggeration. 2,000 pigs together, I don't know how. That, in order to show.
First of all, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way.
That's okay, because the people they can count it, no? But the only thing is that, at 2,000 pigs herd, that's not a usual and normal thing to happen, no? Where they can, just see a herd of lambs that could be, but because the pigs are not, like the sheep. They are not very, of course they can be tamed, but not like sheep. They don't obey like the sheep. And it's not very easy, to control a herd of 2,000.
There were a lot of pigs.
That is the thing, there were a lot of pigs there.
Well, the one thing I always wondered about this is, if this is in Judah, where it's against the law to eat pork, why were there so many pigs?
Oh, but that is not for that's for the what's called the foreign people, the Gentiles, and just count, sometimes just some priests, in homily, they even make so one pig, how much cost? Here, okay. Now, how much cost one pig?
$100.
$100? So 2,000 pigs.
$200,000.
20,000.
See, in order to save 200,000, no?
No,
20,000.
20,000.
20,000.
More than I have in my pocket.
Yeah. So in order to save a man's life, no, Jesus was ready to sacrifice 2,000 pigs.
No, it's 200,000.
Do the math.
I think that's right.
It is 200,000, no?
That would be
Yeah, it's 200,000, right?
200,000?
You just have to say
Definitely more than what you have in your pocket.
20,000.
200,000?
It's 200,000.
It is.
20,000, you are
Look, it's very simple. Look. It is
200,000.
then add 20. What is it now?
that's $250,000 problem.
They talk good
That's
math.
a pile of pork, let me tell
Now
you.
you know why we're not into this.
This
They talk good math.
200, no?
You learned that in second grade, right?
Yes. It's very simple, no? It's so that much of money. That means in order to just to save a man's dignity, to save not even his life. He was living, no? He was possessed by a devil.
No, one or,
There was one man.
no. How many spirits?
Oh, that's a different question. Whether how many, one or two, that doesn't matter. But here is, what is more important is to look into, in order to save a man's dignity, Jesus was ready to sacrifice this much of. No? Not even, you see, that is the paradox, not even in order to save his life. No, it's to save his dignity. This man was, and he gives a very, very picturesque language, Mark. He was in chains and, this man and that, he was living, sure, but not in a dignified manner as a man, no? And in order to save his dignity as a man, he could even sacrifice 2,000 pigs. How strong the idea of that, the dignity of man, no? Glenn is laughing.
I was just thinking, though, the government got the wrong idea, though. They looked at that and they said, well, he sacrificed somebody else's pigs.
That's why, anyway, but, that's why after that, seeing that, the people asked him, please don't come to this side anymore. They begged him to go out of their village. At the end, that happens. They were all terrified. They could not even believe that to save a man's dignity, 2,000 pigs were sacrificed. No, that is unimaginable for that people to know that, to grasp it, no? Because at that time, man's dignity was not respected. Man's dignity was not respected. And it was, and that is the important thing, it was Christianity who really elevated the respect of human life, or the humanity of persons, or the human respect. It was the Christianity. Even now, it upholds the dignity of man than any other religions of the world. Okay, we did not finish. We may take a little more time But this is, anyway, but these are very, very, very useful tips, very, good. Rather than, of course, rounding about our structures and structure of math, that doesn't come into our mind. But these things come, These things stay with our mind. Okay? I have math, that's why I want to be able to stay more time.